Hello, it's Alan, the SEO guru, and I want to talk to you about what is link building. So one of the big things that gets sites to the top of the search engines is, well, you have to have the right content. If you're not saying the right thing, well, you're not going to rank. That's part one. But part two, the other main factor that gets sites to the top of the search engines is really having strong authority. And authority is really established through what's called links. Now, back in the day, let's go back in history a little bit here. One of the things that happened was, if you look at search engines like in around 1999, 2000 era, they really relied mostly on page content. They said, okay, you have the keyword, you're saying the right things, therefore you should be at the top of the rankings. Well, what happened was people started manipulating that. They said, okay, well, I just write the keyword 1,000 times. I spam what's called the keyword meta tag or different areas of the website to really reinforce the keywords. And that kind of manipulation worked for a while. And it caused a problem though, because people coming into those websites would all of a sudden see sites that really read weird. They just, they read very spammy and people just didn't like it. So the search results became kind of watered down in terms of the quality of the search results. Now Google came along and said, hey, look, let's look at this a little differently. Let's say, okay, yes, what the website says is very important, but who is this website? What do they really mean? Like, what's the value of this website? And what they did was they said, let's look at what's called PageRank. And PageRank was a concept where you have, let's say, a site and it's just a page. It's just out there. And nothing is linking to it. There's nothing to give it any value. But there is that, site and it has information. Well, that you give it a page rank of 0 because it's just out there. Nobody's recommending it. It's just there. Well, let's say that site has all of a sudden it has really great content and people say, oh, that's a pretty good site. And a couple people link to it, okay? And if they say, hey, check out this really good site, really great site, check it out. Go there. And those are called links. Usually you click it, you go from one site to that site. Well, those links are passing authority, okay? And usually if it has a few links, maybe like 5 to 10, it's a PR1, or the new concept is page authority. So page, like the old concept is PR, which was a 0 to 10 scale. The new method is like what's called PA or DA, which is domain authority. There's a whole bunch of terms, but basically they took the scale, instead of making it 1 to 10 or 0 to 10, they made it a 0 to 100 scale. So just added extra 0. So just for clarity, I'm referring to that 0 to 10 scale. But the more links that you have, the more authority you have. And it's a factor of 10. So the way it works is a PR1 or a page authority of 1 is like, let's say a handful of links, make 5 or so links. Whereas a PR of 2 or a page authority of 20 is maybe 10 times more than that. Maybe 100 links or 50 links or 10 links. It's like, a factor of 10 more. And then page rank 3 and a page authority 30, well, it's 10 more than that. 10 times, 10 times, 10 times, all the way up. So links, domains with a page rank of 10 or a page authority of 100, well, those are massive sites that have millions of links pointing to them. So they're very powerful sites, very authoritative sites. And those sites actually can rank for keywords that they're not even targeting. They're not even targeting because they have so much authority that, let's say, when those links come in, that they say, well, this is a great site for real estate. It might never even mention real estate, but just that those links saying that could be about real estate gives it the ranking for real estate. It's just that power of authority that gets passed to this one website. So that's really what link building is all about, is idea of finding places where you can get links and using that as a means to build up your business's site's authority. And not all links are created equal. That's the cool thing. So just the way I was explaining it is, let's stick with the term PR, because that's kind of more the old school way, and I'll stick with the old school term. And it's a scale from 1 to 10, or 0 to 10. And if you have, let's say, a paid PR of 5, so fairly modest level of page authority or page rank, then linking to another site, they generally get like one scale down from you. So a page rank 5 links to another website, that other site gets the power of a page rank 4. It's like sort of one step down. And if that page rank 4 site then linked to another site, well, it generally will get what's called a page rank 3. So it'll be sort of a step down. So one of the things that link builders will do is they'll look for sites or pages that have lots of authority, so that when they get links from those sites or pages, that they can, that one step down is actually building a lot of authority for their client site. So that's one of the strategies that link builders will use, is they'll look for these high authority sites or pages that will transfer that power over to their client site. So it's not about necessarily quantity, it's about quality of the links. Still, you need lots of links, but you can get more efficient links that are higher quality to achieve that goal. Another thing with link building is that there has been algorithmic shifts in the way links are understood by Google. So what happened was, there's actually a pretty cool story about it, was when George Bush, this is how old this whole process has been going on for. When George Bush first got elected, one of the things that happened was people were not necessarily happy about it. They kind of did what's called an online protest. And what they did was they linked to the White House website. And just remember how I said sometimes that authority can really power up a website, even if the website doesn't say the keyword itself. Well, in the past, what somebody did, or what people did, was they created what's an online protest about George Bush and the White House. And they basically linked to the White House website with the words "miserable failure." And they created millions of links that all pointed to the White House website with that keyword. And all of a sudden, that site, the White House website, ranked for the keyword that it never mentioned. And that's the power of link building, that you can use what's called a Google bomb. This method is called Google bombing, or Google bombs, where you can use the anchor text, that text that's inside the link, to basically reinforce the rankings for a particular site. So if you want to get your site ranked for something, well, you just build a bunch of links that say that keyword. Now, fast forward a few years, SEOs learned this strategy, obviously, and they were manipulating the search engines by just linking a whole bunch of times with the keyword to their client sites and getting them ranked for whatever keyword they wanted. Well, one of the big clothing companies learned this trick. And I think it was JCPenney. And what happened was they were linking so many times with whatever keywords that they wanted, like jeans or clothing or whatever it was, that whenever you search for anything, all of a sudden their site would be at the top of the rankings. And somebody was wondering, what's going on? Why do they rank so well for all these things? And it became a news story. And they basically said Google was open for business. And Google was open for business. And anyone could manipulate the search engines and get the rankings that they wanted. Okay, so this is when the secret that SEOs knew for the longest time all of a sudden was an open secret where everybody knew it. And it actually impacted the Google stock price. So Google doesn't like when things impact their stock price. Well, they did something about it, where they created two algorithmic pushes against what they decided it was manipulative link building, or spammy links. And they created two algorithm things called Penguin and Panda, okay? That kind of went after sites that the SEOs were using to build these links. So one of the things that they looked at was, in the past, what you would do, one of the methods that was used was, if you wanted to build like a lot of links, what you could do is use what's called article syndication. And article syndication means you write one article, okay? And you, of course, include your keyword that's in there and linking to your client site. And then you take that article, you put it through an article syndication site, and that article syndication site then posts it on a whole bunch of blogs. So maybe one submission means 1,000 links, okay? And actually, some of them you could even submit to like 100,000 links. Build lots of links very quickly where your blog article appears on a whole bunch of other blogs. And really the practice was not necessarily meant in a spammy way or anything like that. It was really a way of broadcasting news articles. That's what it was originally intended for. That if you had a news story, you could use article syndication to really get that news story out to a bigger audience by having it appear on other sites where they wanted to have the latest news. So all of a sudden, article syndication was under attack by the Panda update, where it looked at duplicate content and said, hey, if the content is duplicated and through these kind of article syndication sites, we're not going to give all of those articles any value. So the links coming from them have zero value. So all of a sudden, a lot of these bigger companies that had relied on this tactic were suffering. They were really suffering. It was kind of a bloodbath in terms of SEO space. Now that was only the first step that Google took against link building. The second step was really looking at the links themselves. And what it came out with was Penguin. And Penguin really looked at the links themselves and said, hey, look, not only are we going to look at the content around these blogs and see if they're, it's duplicate, we're going to look at what are these links? Are they on high authority sites? Are they on spammy sites? What is the value of these links? And what they did was they said, and how natural are they? that was the other big thing. And if you use tactics that were kind of what were deemed as spammy, then generally you would have what's called negative links, like links that actually, instead of helping your ranking, actually would hinder your ranking, and you would even get penalized. And they came out with a manual action. So what they would have is they would have two types of methods within Google to detect these links. So they would say, okay, red flag, these links that this site has look spammy. We'll algorithmically punish them where they won't get the ranking that they deserve. Maybe they won't even rank at all. We'll block them from the rankings. And that was a sort of an automatic method of kind of penalizing sites that had used kind of spammy links or something where they felt like they were really trying to manipulate the search engines. The other thing that they did was actually, if it went too far, they would do what was called a manual action. And you would actually see sites blacklisted as a result, where they just wouldn't rank at all for anything, where they would have a manual action. And they actually would notify you through the Google console, which is the tool that Google uses to help business owners really manage their website with Google, they would notify you that you had a manual action against you. And you would have to go through an appeal process to get that manual action removed. So sometimes it meant having to clean up those bad links. Sometimes it meant having to disavow them. There was a whole process that was involved with link building where you actually had to clean up bad links. And the problem with all this, though, became that, well, if you're nefarious, what you do is say, okay, that competitor of mine, he's really ranked well. Well, how about I just build a whole bunch of really spammy links to his site? And that was a whole situation where all of a sudden you got people building spammy links to websites and really taking down their rankings. And sometimes even the SEOs themselves, not trying to like hurt their clients, but just not being savvy enough, wouldn't understand link building in a way that when they built the links that they were trying to build, and they were trying to build, decent links, but sometimes what would happen is the links that they would build actually hurt the client's rankings. So as this whole thing evolved, there's actually been multiple versions of Penguin and Panda that have happened over the years. But as it has evolved, link building is actually a very challenging method of building a client's site's authority and getting that ranking that they all want. So one of the things that you have to do is be really, really strategic in the way you build links. You have to vet every link you build. You have to build them where you use different anchor text so that it looks more natural. There's methods that you can do that will build like legitimate links, like that are good links to client sites. And that's what a link builder does. They basically build quality links to their clients that meet the Google guidelines. Like if Google said, hell, I'm going to look at this link and it looks legit, well, it's legit. They deserve the ranking from it. They deserve the ranking boost. So that's what a link builder does. That's what link building is. There's a lot to the space. It's not as simple as you would hope, but one of the things that you can do if you want to do your own link building is start out simple. If you have like a YouTube channel, well, in the video description, put a link. That's actually going to help your website. So by putting that link into your description of your videos, well, actually you're giving your website a boost. Mentioning your website on social media, mentioning your website on citation sites like Yelp, Yellow Pages, so forth. You can build your link authority, your ranking as well. So the idea is there are ways to do it on your own, but there gets to be a point where, in many spaces, it's just so competitive that often you have to hire somebody that is an expert in the field and they can help you, build those links so that you can gain the authority against your competitors. So that is link building in a nutshell. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have questions, put it in the comments below. And again, thanks for watching. Bye for now.